Cave Story is a game out of time. Using the familiar gameplay, sound, and visuals of a 30-year-old title, it evokes memories of plastic cartridges and square controllers. But it's so much more than a simple nostalgia piece. Combining a touching story with demanding gameplay, Cave Story Plus is a loving celebration of a bygone era. In a darkened cave, a young boy wakes with no memory of his past. Wandering through his dangerous surroundings, he stumbles upon Mimiga's village, an embattled civilization. Their numbers are slowly dwindling due to the strange experiments performed by a man simply known as the Doctor. Joined by the remaining Mimigas and human survivors, the boy will need to thwart the Doctor's sinister procedure to protect the cave and perhaps the world. For such a straightforward concept, Cave Story packs a lot of emotional punch. This is thanks to the charming cast of endearing heroes and sympathetic villains, whose bold personalities become immediately apparent within their first line of text. And yet the plot always reinforces a sense of impending danger, with likable characters and wondrous locations snuffed out in an instant, though the multiple endings of varying outcomes allow players to lessen the blow. Cave Story is a deceptively rich tale, pushing its core narrative to the front while slowly introducing a wealth of context, relationships, and history. But to experience the narrative, you'll need to become proficient in Cave Story's demanding controls. Mechanically speaking, Cave Story is an action platformer, with nearly every scenario revolving around a combination of jumping and shooting. The challenge comes from the slippery momentum-driven movement and floaty jumps, requiring environmental awareness and pixel-perfect leaps towards ledges. There's certainly a learning curve, and yes, it can be frustrating early on, but once adapted, navigation becomes surprisingly satisfying. Combat is a bit more user-friendly, with an arsenal of pistols, explosive rockets, bouncing fireballs, and more, which can be fired in 4 different directions. But this too features a unique wrinkle in the form of the temporary progression system. Once an enemy is defeated, it will randomly drop health or experience, with collected experience automatically powering up equipped weapons. However, whenever the boy receives damage, not only will his health be lowered, but so will the weapon's experience. It's a very clever mechanic, encouraging players to experiment with their entire collection and fully level up their armory in advance of boss fights. Cave Story's 7-hour campaign remains difficult, but rarely unbalanced. Each of the open-world stages introduce new hurdles, such as climbing through destructible blocks, blasting back charging enemies, or carefully timed sprints, with additional exploration netting valuable health and weapon upgrades. One slight complaint would be the mostly interchangeable enemies and bosses, which often don't relate to the preceding levels, but these smash-mouth battles are too enjoyable to nitpick. With the exception of a couple of obtuse solutions and controller-smashing hard final level, Cave Story's challenging gameplay always rewards skill and determination, and with a generous amount of save rooms and health restores, it's easy to bounce back from a discouraging loss. Cave Story's graphics are aesthetically representative of its influences. Muted colors, blocky sprites, and square worlds fit right in line with the retro direction. Though as the game progresses, the general backgrounds begin to blur together. When it breaks from the dink and dim surroundings, it really shows off the strong art direction, especially in the text block facial animations. In short, the visuals are artistically successful, though the lack of diversity is disappointing. But it's Cave Story's brilliant square wave soundtrack that really ties the presentation together, complete with bouncing bass lines, melodic melodies, energizing rhythm guitars, and soothing synthesizers. Best of all, the entire catalog can be played in a few different versions, from the more spacious remaster to the original chiptune. So, is it worth it? Yes. Cave Story Plus is a fantastic adventure for nostalgic fans and first-time players. By replicating the formulas of the past, while introducing meaningful tweaks and thoughtful systems, its brief but memorable campaign lives up to its classic inspirations. And with multiple endings, remixed soundtracks, and a sizable amount of time trials complete with leaderboards, there's still plenty to experience once the credits roll. But most importantly, its hilarious and heartbreaking tale of survival provides a world worth saving. Above all else, Cave Story delivers on heart. Cave Story Plus is currently available on the Nintendo Switch for $30. If you've had a chance to play it, let me know what you thought. And if you haven't, let me know if you plan on picking it up. My name is Colin Tanner, and I'll see you in the next video.